Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. How is everyone today? I hope everyone is doing well. It's a cold, rainy day here today. It's very chilly. I guess it's a good day for stitching. Today I'll be sharing my vintage embroidery prompt for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4. And for those that are new subscribers, I had shared, in case you hadn't seen in my last video, I had two vintage embroideries that I was deciding on, and these I did when I was 10 years old. This one I remembered really that I loved it with the little parakeets on it, but it had a stain from the hoop. I just left it in the hoop over the years and didn't realize that it would leave a rust stain. It was one of the old metal hoops. These embroideries were from Woolworth's. They used to sell a kit, and you could go in and buy this little kit that had the stamped design on it. And I had asked my mom if I could get it, and she bought it for me and taught me how to embroider. And this is what I cut my design out of. And this is a linen material, kind of like must be a tea towel. And these are my others. I'll just show these quickly for those that are new here. These were some of the prompts that we did. And this was the last. I'm behind one. This is my vintage embroidery that I chose, and I cut this oval out of that tea towel. I left the edges raw and just did a little bit of fray check on them because it is linen and it does tend to ravel easily. And I thought, you know, just for the test of time, I'll put that on just to preserve it. So I cut this oval out, and then I wanted to add some color, and I found this fabric that really matched this stitching on the interior of the little seahorse. This is the fabric that I used for that. And I love this. It's such a pretty color, almost a robin's egg blue. And so I just cut kind of an irregular line out of that fabric and matched it to the sides, trimmed it away on the hexagon, and invisibly stitched that down. And then I wanted to add a little something up at the top here to look like water. And I have this curly seam binding that I used, which was just about a perfect match for this fabric. And so I just couched that down, a couple of rows of that on top of this blue fabric. Excuse me. And sorry, allergies. Couch that down, and I put a few beads on that. And then up here at the top, I decided to add some lace. And I have this lace that I love. This is so beautiful, and I thought some of the parts that hang down look so pretty. Something like this cascading down over the water and the seahorse. So I just clipped some pieces out of that lace and stitched that down invisibly around here and kind of around the oval. You can still see some of the raw edge of the oval here. I didn't cover it all. And I also added some sequins to that, to these flowers. I'm not sure if you can see the sparkle on those. I was thinking of water spraying up and maybe adding some sparkle to those flowers. And the sequins that I used are these. These are clear, transparent, iridescent. These are from A Range of Color is the name of the shop, and these are 4mm, and they're so pretty. They're not too big, and I love the color. It's just not in your face, just a pretty little touch of sparkle. Excuse me. So I got all that down, and then I decided to add beads to the bottom because it made me think of treasure in the ocean And so I just added all different size beads here. And I just put a few in my boxes to see what I might like to add. And some different things that I thought I might use. Thought I might use some of these silver elements, or this little piece of, I think it's abalone. So just choosing from these, and it was easy to get them from that box rather than take all those little boxes in where I was sewing. And so I added lots of little beads on here. And this is a seashell button, or maybe it's not a button, maybe it's just an embellishment, but I had a little tiny package of those, and I loved that. I don't know if you can see the little curl in there of the shell. I think it's so pretty. And then I added this gold starfish charm, and then I stitched a goldfish, which I'll try to show you how to do that after. And also I decided to add this to the bottom here, and this is a trim that I got in the dollar store when I was with my sister. And she said to me, "Becky, you have to have this." And I thought, I do. But yeah, I love it. I think it's really interesting. I have no idea what it's made of. It's, I think, some kind of jute that's probably put in some sort of a starchy solution to make it stiff. It's very stiff, but it did make me think of the nets that the fishermen use when they put their nets out. So I liked that. I just cut pieces of that and stitched those down invisibly, put those at the bottom to give the impression of a net. And then here, for these little plant life, I had two colors of Lori Holt chunky thread. This is her chunky thread. These are the little skeins. She has larger skeins as well, but these colors went so nicely, both of them. I mean, it's really amazing to me how close they match. And these are from when I was 10, and I mean, to have colors that are so similar, although maybe I'm easily amazed, but I thought that was amazing. So I just took a length of this yarn, or thread as she calls it, chunky thread, and I just made some loose knots in this. Didn't really pull too tight and didn't make them too far apart. Just pulling some, making some little knots and leaving them kind of bulky. Nothing too tight. And I did the same thing with the coral. And it just kind of gives a nice effect and texture to the to this piece, I feel. And I like the colors. The colors went with everything here. So I just couched these down to just add a little bit of extra something here. And I put some more of this binding down here. I don't think I mentioned that. And then, of course, these little silver findings and some little kind of copper. You probably can't really see them that well. They are like this. And they made me think of a jellyfish or something like that. I thought they were interesting, and I sewed them this side, the cup side, up, just to kind of give another extra little element of interest in this piece. This was one that I kind of could keep going and going with it. It was really fun to embellish it. So let's see, and then I just added a little fly stitch here to look like a little bit more coral or something under the ocean. And this color was really, I can see I need more of that, but I mean, this was also very close to the original thread that I had used. So I used some of that and some of this kind of an aqua blue as well. And then, of course, I did the backing, put that and wrapped that around and stitched it. But, so I'll try to show you how to do this starfish. I wanted to do a starfish, and I wasn't quite sure how to accomplish it. And so this is what I did. This is just a piece of wool felt, and I drew a circle and just sort of give an idea of the 5 legs of a starfish. And you would come up, I used a chunky thread. This is Lori Holt's chunky thread. And I used the chunky thread as my base on this to just sort of give it a little bit of height, a little bit of dimension. And what you do is you come in at the base of your triangle and then leave a length of thread that you think will be about the length of the leg, and then go down on the other side of the base of the triangle. Something like that. And then I'll just park this needle here for now. Oop. And then just take a pin and just sort of give it, just pin it so that it'll stay down, so that that shape stays for you, that triangular shape. And tuck your tip of your pin underneath, because your thread can catch on that. And then I just used 3 strands of DMC in kind of a crew. I think this may be a crew, but you could use anything. You could use pearl cotton. You could use whatever thread you like. And so what I would do is come in at the very bottom of where the first, the base of the leg, the starfish leg, come up on the inside of that, and then use the hole of your needle, the eye of your needle, to weave, and just go under, because you've come up, so you want to go over that and come across and just pull loosely. And I'm just going to turn it. Hopefully that's not confusing. And then this is going over, so we're going to go under. And it's just a matter really of weaving back and forth. It's really simple. And you don't want to pull your thread too tight. And just go back and forth. It's really very relaxing to do this. And if you use the eye of your needle, it is easier, because you don't have to worry about snagging the point of your needle on anything. And don't pull too much. Oops. I hope I'm staying in frame. Sorry if I'm not. But it's just going back and forth, and because this thread is over, I'm going to sneak under that leg and then sneak under this one. So the thread is always going over the leg, and then you return it going under. It's coming over and you return it going under, and so on. And you can pull your threads, and you can also pack them down a bit if it looks a little bit loose to you. And you just want to keep doing this till you get to the tip. I was really excited to see how this really looked like the leg or arm, I'm not sure what they're called, the leg or the arm of the starfish. And again, just keep going back and forth. Don't pull too tight. You can pull a little tighter as you get up near the tip. And as you get up near the tip, it gets a little more difficult because your space is limited by the pin holding your thread in a point at the apex of the triangle. So let's just pull that down a bit and keep going. When you think you're done, you can probably sneak in another stitch or two just to fill it in all the way to the top. Hope I'm staying in frame here. Just about done. I think I can get 1 or 2 more stitches in there. I didn't catch that completely. And we'll do 1 more here on this side. Okay. Okay, when you think you're fairly well to the tip, just take your pin out and just kind of pull, and take your needle and just bring it down to the back. And I would make a knot. That's a little loose right there, so let's pull that a tiny bit. And I would make a knot at the very, in the back here. I would just end this off and move on to the next leg. Just make a knot on there. And clip, I wouldn't clip, or you could clip. You'd save some thread if you wanted to. But this is movable. This is, you could tack it down if you wanted to in the center, if you didn't want it to move. And if anything doesn't look quite right, you can just take the end of your needle and just pull a little bit to kind of fix anything that doesn't look, although, I mean, jellyfish aren't perfectly smooth. So that's how I did my jellyfish, and you would do the other legs as well, the same way, going around. You can park this thread and then come up with your other thread. Just be sure not to get tangled. Come up with your other thread again and make the triangle. Same thing. Go down at the base and park your one needle and start with your other. When you're all done with the legs or the arms of your jellyfish, in the center I just did French knots in here, and that kind of fills in the rest of it. And let's see, I'll show you this on this one. This one is this one is much smaller, but you can maybe see the French knots in there, and this one kind of curls this way. I mean, you can move them any way you'd like. And the nice thing with this kind of weaving, I mean, it's so super simple, but you could use that for leaves. I could envision it for leaves or some kind of plant life. You could use it for ears, maybe smaller, shorter ears for a little animal or something. But anyway, I just think that's fun. It was fun to do. And let's see, I think I've shared everything here. Yep, I think I've shared everything with this one. So this one, I'll give you a little close-up. This one is all done, thank goodness. I'm running behind because our little grandbaby was born 3 weeks early. And our daughters had their birthday, their twins, so we had that here, so I really ran late. But I did choose, I'll just share quickly what I've chosen for the next one, which is trim, I think, or vintage trim, I'm not sure. But I've chosen this trim, which actually looks very nice with my seahorse. But I've chosen this trim, which I think is really very pretty. And I may put it on here like this. Not sure, haven't really had time to give it much thought. I'd like to add this little stamped muslin. I love this. I think it's so pretty. Castello, Tuscany. I had done a quilt of Tuscany, a Tuscan village on a hillside, and I love that quilt, and I love Tuscany. So I thought that might be nice on there, or maybe it'll go like that. Not sure. And I also have, oops, not even in. I also have this trim, which I think would be pretty on there. This is very pretty. So I think that might look nice on there as well. I'm not sure, haven't really had time to give it a lot of thought. But oddly enough, these colors all seem to go together. And I mean, this has really not been planned. The colors and how they're kind of working out. I didn't really plan any of this. And it's just kind of happenstance that these colors are kind of all coming into play. So this one also will go with these. This one goes as well. And this I think is probably the least, but yet it still goes. So when I put all of these together on that old quilt, I think it'll be cohesive. So we'll see. It's interesting. We'll see what other prompts are up ahead too. So thank you very much for joining me today on my journey, for your time. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.